My crazy father assaulted me over casserole. When I was 5, my dad and I decided to get the camper trailer and camp out a weekend with a friend of his. We get there, and I'm invited to play with the other kids, including the 2 boys of the coworker, who were either my age or a bit older than me. There was a nearby creek that was a popular swimming area for the kids. I loved to swim as a kid, and my dad strictly told me to not get close to the creek, because he didn't want me swimming just yet. However, while I was playing with the kids, I ended up tripping on a rock and tumbling into said creek and getting completely drenched. I was a great swimmer, and the creek wasn't really deep, so I wasn't in any danger, but I was afraid my dad would be mad. The coworker's kids were willing to vouch for me that I fell in by accident. We went to my dad's trailer, and sure enough, he immediately got mad, yelling at me that I wasn't supposed to go swimming. The 2 boys fulfilled their promise to try and defend me, telling my dad it was an accident, only for my dad to tell them both to scram as he dragged me inside. I was tossed into the bathroom with a towel and some dry clothes and told to quickly change. I did so without saying a single word. Even after I did what was told, he was still fuming. We were going to the coworker's trailer for lunch, and my dad threatened me that if I screw up one more time, I'll regret it. At the coworker's trailer, the lunch was some kind of casserole. I was a picky eater, so I already decided I wasn't hungry. But it took one glare of pure anger from my dad to get me to start eating. Within a couple bites I was getting nauseous, and I put the fork down and said I was no longer hungry. My dad flipped. He immediately started screaming at me to eat every bite of the casserole, and that I wasn't leaving that spot until I did so. The coworker, bless his heart, tried to be a mediator by saying I didn't have to eat the food if I didn't like it, and that he has no problem making me a sandwich. My dad told him to shut the F up, and threatened to sock him if he said another word. The next 5 minutes was me bawling my eyes out slowly eating the casserole as my dad was screaming right next to my ear about how he's gonna lay hands on me if I didn't do what he says. 4th bite in, my stomach turned, and I fell off the chair and threw up. I felt him grab me by the hair and drag me to the trailer, me wailing for him to not be mad at me. My dad had a wooden paddle. He swung the first blow of the paddle. He struck me with it until I blacked out. The rest of the story is from my grandmother's perspective. While I was getting stuck, my coworker called my mom in a panic, telling her to go to the campgrounds immediately, fearing for the well-being of myself. My mom and grandma immediately drove from their destination a little over an hour and a half drive to the campground. Unfortunately, my dad stormed out after, and threatened to hurt his coworker and kids if they ever mentioned what they witnessed, and the coworker fled. My mom and grandma pulled up to see my dad sitting on a chair in front of the trailer, still fuming. He immediately told them both that I got what I deserved and I was making him look bad. They both went into the trailer to see me face down, nearly black from bruising. My mom thought I was gone, and it took my grandma finding my pulse to find out that I was still alive. My grandma floored it to the town's police station and my mom stayed behind to make sure my dad didn't try to hurt me any further. That's when I regained conscious, and saw my grandma driving off. Thing is, my dad had no remorse for what he did until the cops were involved. He went inside and laid out a sob story about how he didn't mean to hurt me like that and, "Dad always loves you, bud." Being the innocent kid I was, I believed him, but now I know it was just a lie to relieve himself of guilt. I wish I could say that he went to prison and I never had to deal with him again. But that wasn't the case. My mom did have plans to fully divorce him and hold all charges on him, but when she visited him in the county jail, he thoroughly convinced her that she couldn't afford the divorce and that my brother and I can't survive without him, not to mention how she would be a social outcast for being a single mom. He also laid it thick that even in the case she got her kids away from him, my dad would not rest until he unalived her and took my brother and I to where nobody would ever see us again. My mom tried to remain brave but the threats worked, mostly due to how he was back to having no remorse over what he did to me. He was just upset he got caught. So my mom dropped the charges and she still lived with him until I was turning 11. However, the whole family was well aware of what he did, and they made it clear if he hurt me like that again, or hurt my mom and brother like that, they will not hesitate to call the cops. The only thing that managed to do was make my dad much smarter about how to hurt us, sticking more to scaring the daylights out of us and making us feel like accidents who nobody loves with his words. As for how he is today, he's not as aggressive as he used to be, but he's become even more heartless and unfiltered on his words, and continues to believe that he does no wrong, and even has the right to hurt his kids, even when said kids are now adults. What ended your relationship with your sibling? My brother is older than me by about 5 years. When I was a baby, he apparently played with me all the time. When I got older, he wanted nothing to do with me. What teenage boy would want to deal with their younger sister? So when I got to a teenager, I was like, fine, ignore me, but of course, he now wanted his little sis. But you see, I wasn't exactly up to his standard. It seemed like every chance he got, he liked to call me stupid, and not just in the siblings being siblings way. From adult conversations with him, he has it in his head that our mom pushed him to get A's, while I was allowed to get B's. What he doesn't seem to understand is that he has a near photographic memory and him not trying hard got him A's, whereas me working my ass off, I was lucky to get a B in some classes. School was incredibly hard for me, whereas he skipped a grade. But he doesn't see that, I just had it easier. He later tells me that he was just being hard on me because nobody else would. Total BS. Then he insulted everything I enjoyed. Why do you like X? X is for kids, grow up. He's put down anything that I thought was fun. He'd shit on my few hobbies, tell me to get out of my virtual world. There's a lot of things I wanted to try as a kid, but my mom being a single mom could only do so much, and my brother, of course, signed up for everything and asked permission later. So guess who was dragged around to everything of his? So I had to find things to do on my own while he went and had fun. And then he insulted my looks. I still consider myself a tomboy. I've always been comfort over fashion. I'm not a slob though. I hate dresses and skirts. I hate the idea of a purse, and I have a very unisex bag now that is 100% function. But no, he always yelled at my mom that she was letting me stunt my growth, that she should be forcing me to wear more girly clothes and wear makeup. He wanted me to dress more like a typical girl. Screw that, I think it looks dumb, makes me feel dumb, and I didn't want to do it. I needed to do it and my mom was just enabling me by not forcing me. He always came first. For example, my senior year of high school, I'm in a club for the second year, which is a huge deal for me, since I never did clubs, and I was doing a competition that I felt great about and was about to head to the state competition. I had a shot at nationals. He was planning on getting married and had 2 dates he was thinking about: my birthday weekend or the week after, the weekend of nationals. I do not care about my birthday and really wanted to go to nationals. He said to my face that I wasn't going to make the cut and he planned the wedding for that weekend. I got first in state, and he made sure to say as much as he could to make me feel guilty AF if I decided to go to nationals instead of his wedding. And this competition was directly related to my future major. This is just the biggie that has stuck with me over the years, but basically, if there's anything you want to plan, his plans will always be more important, and screw you for thinking otherwise. But he never sees that. When I got a great internship offer, he almost immediately started trying to put it down like it wasn't that great. His wife shut him up. I'm a naturally shy person and don't like doing much that pushes me into the spotlight. But I should be able to share with my family, right? But after years of verbal abuse from my brother, I don't like telling him anything. I bring my first BF home for Thanksgiving, which at 23 years old, is still a very odd concept to me. He gets beyond pissed because I didn't tell him. He then starts bringing up every little thing that I have done wrong and that my mom has done wrong. He feels insulted and wants nothing more than to just storm off and drive home. His wife made him stay, but so much for a happy Thanksgiving. I try to explain why I didn't tell him, but nope, won't see it from my point of view. We managed to get him to stay for dinner, but he's more or less said that he's never going over to my parents' house again. He eventually called up my mom and said he would like to try and work on a relationship with her, but he might never talk to me again. Missing persons who were found. What happened? One day my family stopped hearing from my brother, who just moved to Hawaii from Iceland. Like he vanished off the face of the earth. He had stopped posting on social media. He had stopped contacting all his friends. It was always a possibility that he was going off the grid for some reason. But last we spoke, everything was fine and normal. Still, we thought he would pop up somewhere, as he was an extensive world traveler and often went incommunicato for periods of time. A year goes by. We are more worried. Why? If something happened to him, why wouldn't he be on social media anymore? Why would he cut contact with his entire network of friends and family? He had never done that before. There was no fight or drama. The last conversation he had with my mom was about Christmas presents. We start looking for him. We message everyone we know he knows. We message his best friend, who gives a very cryptic response, neither denying or confirming anything. This gets us worried. Why is this guy being shady? Last we knew, these two were traveling the world together. My mom email bombs his best friend, who refuses to respond. We wait another year. Nothing. We are starting to think he might be dead. My mom files a missing persons report and the police find no trace of him. I start posting missing persons reports. We scour the internet. We find nothing. Another year. I haven't seen him in 5 years. Now I think I'll never see him again. Half my family is convinced he died somewhere abroad. My mom hires a private detective for $10K. The guy can't find much. He is worthless. I started posting on Scandinavian subreddits because that was the region my brother was last seen in. I basically make a missing persons poster with his picture and all his info. A week later, someone sends me a message. They had seen my brother. We are freaking out. The person explains that he was in Norway and had worked with my brother doing construction. This gentleman was from Michigan, but owned a business in Norway, so could kind of weed out the bullcrap. In my brother's story, my brother was telling people that he was adopted and that his family had stolen him as a baby. He said my brother seemed kind of mentally off with a lot of conspiracy theories and rambling thoughts. I thanked this guy profusely. It was so nice to know my brother was alive. Still, this isn't proof positive. There is no picture of my brother. And by the time this guy messaged us, my brother had moved on. Reddit dude told us where my brother had said he was going next. We contacted our local police with this new info. They messaged the police force in Uppsala, where my brother had said he was going. The police there know where he is. They go to his door and let him know his family is looking for him. He tells them he knows and doesn't want to talk to us. They check his passport to make sure he is actually my brother. This is the best and worst news we have had. It was now 7 years since we had talked to him at all. A couple months later, my brother sends me a Facebook message. He hasn't directly contacted me in almost 8 years. He wants me to remove my post about him being missing. It was showing up when you Google searched his name. I say I will and try start a conversation with him. Slowly we started talking again. He agrees to be taken to the rest of the family. We keep in contact for the next 2 years and I go visit him in Sweden. The year after that he moved home.